voluntarily agree not to do that. But by no means would Mr. Rotolo put that in an ordinance, because it's preempted. It would be unconstitutional because the state has already told the rest of New Jersey how they're going to handle that particular delivery. Second, all right, so there was a lot of discussion about what's the quantity, well, first of all, we all know that if you possess 6 ounces or more, you're going to have some legal problems. But, having said that, there's nothing that's going to prohibit anybody, much like alcohol, from buying as much as they want from various stores. But, that's up to the individual. I mean, we certainly don't regulate how much somebody drinks. If they want to drink a quart of Jack Daniels, more power to them. The other issue that is probably going to self-regulate how much cannabis one can purchase is the statutes are very clear. A retailer cannot dispense recreational unless there's a sufficient amount of medicinal cannabis available for the medical patients first. Makes a lot of sense. Now, with respect to some of the things that, and I'll quote Mr. Whitney if I might, mindful and good attention. We've got to talk about taxation. There is a very different scheme for a medical cannabis dispensary versus a recreational. Medicinal, it is a flat 2% on the retail sales. With recreational, if you hold multiple licenses, every one of those licenses, with the exception of a delivery service, gets taxed at 2%. And I'm sorry, the audio was not great, and I apologize to the Ascend folks, but I don't know if they are cultivating and then distributing through their Rochelle Park dispensary. But if that's the case, well, then not only would they be responsible for the 2% on the retail end, but the 2% on the cultivation end. Then there's local licensing. The statute's crystal clear that a municipality is entitled to enact ordinances for local licensing. And of course, it's not a money grab, but it is an opportunity for the town to recapture some of the expenses that are going to be associated with using your municipal resources. And I know that I heard there wasn't going to be any lines to get into the retail establishment. Well, on opening day, how about 25 cars back on Route 17? So somebody's got to pay for that. And I've already heard Ascend indicate that they would be hiring Rochelle Park police officers. There's also an issue as to whether you want to have a community host agreement. That would be the place that you would put that provision in, that Ascend agrees not to deliver to residents of Rochelle Park or make any deliveries, if that's in fact what they agree to, and that's in fact what the governing body agrees to. I think I've captured what I wanted to say. Are there any questions?
Can I just, before you go on, Mayor, just, not everybody knows who Ron is. Ron happens to be our zoning board attorney, and he has a background in this field of law. Ron, can you maybe just mention for members of the public what your background is as it relates to cannabis?
Yeah, sure. So I guess first and foremost, I am the City of Hoboken's Medical Review Board attorney, or the Cannabis Review Board attorney. And this is obviously a field that I've had a big interest in for a long time. And I'm very familiar with the regulations, the medicinal regulations, the medicinal statutes, the recreational statutes. We all know that we're impatiently waiting for the CRC to come out with those recreational regulations at some point in time. And perhaps one of the more important aspects of my background that makes me somewhat qualified is that I was a councilman in 2 towns, so I understand what you're thinking about. I am not suggesting or trying to say that I'm here to give advice for or against. I'm not. I'm simply here to answer some questions if you have them. You know, the old Roman Empire referred to lawyers as the avvocati, and they were technicians. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not trying to convince anybody that they should be for or against it. I'm simply here to answer any questions. And there are a lot of questions, and there are quite a bit of unknowns, but we still have the statutes, the recreational statutes to lean on. Now, there are a lot of ambiguities, and hopefully the temporary regulations that come out on August 20th will fill some of those gaps.
But we do need a comprehensive local ordinance to regulate some of the issues that relate to this, even as Mr. Weiss said, the time, place, and manner type ordinances. We need to have that in place. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. So, you know, the easiest way to sort of unpeel this onion is if you do nothing, the state permits all 6 licenses in your industrial zones. That's 1 through 6. If you do nothing, the state permits retail sales. That's a class 5 as a conditional use. And certainly Mr. Rotolo is familiar with a conditional use. It would be in your commercial zone or retail zone, and you would be able to specify what those conditions are. And if the applicant doesn't meet those conditions, they're off to the zoning board. If you opt out and you prohibit everything, well, the statute does not prohibit a municipality from opting back in the next day, week, month, or year. It doesn't prohibit it. It doesn't permit it. It's not clear. But I mean, if you look at the legislative intent of these statutes, and especially the CRC's mandate, they are for cannabis and they are trying to grow this industry. So if you were to opt out, and then as Mr. Whitney said, maybe pay some more attention, closer attention to those ordinances, zoning ordinances, local licensing ordinances, your taxation ordinance, they're not going to be opposed to you doing that a day, a month, or a year later. Certainly the League of Municipalities takes that position. Every attorney that I have spoken to, every cannabis consultant that I have spoken to takes that position as well. So
Ron, can I ask you real quick?
Sure.
So, this is Parent, Moscow.
How are you?
So we let the deadline hit, right, without an ordinance. And then say September, October, we come up with our ordinance before the first sales go. Is that okay?
So let me clarify when you say the ordinance. If you are, and you're proposing this evening, an all-out prohibition. So if you do that, you are protected, and a month after, a week later, whatever the case may be, for the town to spend the appropriate amount of time that it needs to draft those types of local licensing ordinances, taxation ordinances, zoning ordinances, then you're back in the game. Are you referring to what's on?
I'm saying if we don't vote for this ordinance tonight, right? And the
Right.
deadline hits, and then we come up with an ordinance, is that okay? Would our ordinance be, okay to have after the deadline hits?
No, you'd be.
To restrict whatever we want to restrict or no?
No.
Okay,
You'd
so I
automatically
think-
be opted in by the state.
I get it. I get we'd be opted in,
No.
but can we make certain suggestions in our
Yeah.
ordinance?
Okay.
Ron?
So thanks for the question. It's an easy answer. If you're telling me that your planner and whoever attorney you hire can work into overdrive, and then you guys do some special meetings to get this through a second reading by August 21st, you're all set. If
Okay.
on the other hand, you're unable to do that, well, then my advice would be to opt out and then get back to the drawing board if in fact that the council wants to opt in to certain classes and start drafting those ordinances.
Okay.
Okay, so just to be clear, not to the public, so we've had a send here, but the ordinance doesn't just cover a send. I mean, they're already in the town, but there could possibly be other companies that are interested in coming here. So we need to keep in mind all the uses and all potential companies when writing this. It's not just about a send. So you mentioned the 6 uses. We've discussed the 6 uses at past meetings, and we could approve some, none, or all of the 6 uses. And all municipalities have until August 21st deadline to make up their mind. The state also has the same deadline for their guidelines, correct, Ron?
Yeah, they're regulations, and they don't have any staff. There was some type of lawsuit that they weren't meeting labor regulations. So I don't know how they're going to come up with firm regulations, but there'll be some temporary regulations. Yeah.
Okay. So, and again, just to be clear, if we opt in, saying yes now, we cannot change that for 5 years. But if we say no, we can always change our mind to yes.
I'm sorry, the audio is awful.
We hear,
It's as if somebody has a hammer and they're repetitively, there we go.
okay, the buzzing
So-
stuff. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. So just to make clear, so can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, so opting in now, if we say yes to any or all these uses now, we are locked in for 5 years. However, if we say no, we can always change that to yes at any time.
that is the general consensus. Now, the statute's
Okay.
not clear, but it would run completely contrary to the legislative intent not to allow you to opt back in. Now, when you say if you decide to opt in, well, you need to have those zoning regulations in place. You need to have your,
Right, so saying yes now, we don't have any ordinances or zoning in place, that it would be wise to get our zoning and ordinances all in place, say no until that is in place, and then possibly say yes.
to be mindful and good attention. Unless, of course, you're telling me you've got a planner who's going to drop everything he's doing and an attorney that's going to drop and work on the next 7 days. And then you're going to have special meetings to make sure you have a second reading and it gets passed on or before August 20th. I think August 20th is a Friday.
Yeah,
Right.
if I may, Mayor, just to add another level of concern, under the municipal land use law, any zoning ordinance has to first be provided to the planning board for review and comment before final adoption. So there's a 35-day review period. Now, that's only the zoning component of it, of
Sure.
course. So, but that is a significant component of all this. So, the timing just makes it difficult. If you had more time, that's why I had asked earlier, because I don't know the answer. If there was an extension, it may enable us to do the detailed work and the comprehensive ordinance that we need to do before that deadline. But I just,
Well, and aside from the time factor, we also have the state guidelines aren't available
Oh,
to
yeah,
us.
that's
So
true.
even if we had the more time, we don't have those guidelines until the same deadline that the townships have, the municipalities have. Okay. So
Well-
some of the things, yeah,
Well, I would simply add that the statutes are there. The regulations will clear up some of the ambiguity and add to the equation, like how much is the fees going to be to the state for the various licenses. But certainly ordinances, I mean, I've worked on them for Hoboken and some other towns. So ordinances could be drafted without the regulations. I just believe, as Mr. Rotolo has mentioned, you're out of time.
okay. So some of the things these ordinances could cover is the number of cannabis establishments in a township, like we said before, the manner, time, and operation, licensing fees, and penalties for violations. So we don't have any of that in place right now. So we would want things like that in place. Also, the recreational marijuana is not allowed to be sold until January 1st, 2022. Revenue can only be collected after that date. So delaying this until we have our ordinance in place would not cause us to lose tax dollars at this time. Is that all correct?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. I researched it and I just want to bounce it off you. As far as I know that is the case, that it's not until January 1st, 2022.
I appreciate the info. Yeah.
Okay. I also checked the League of Municipalities. They have given, provided a draft ordinance. And one of the things they say in it is that the most prudent course of action for all municipalities, whether or not general in favor of cannabis or medical cannabis land development uses, would prohibit such uses within Act 180-day period, which is what we're in now, in order to ensure sufficient time to carefully review all aspects of the act and its impacts. So even the League of Municipalities is suggesting that municipalities, even if you're in favor of it, to opt out until you're able to develop these ordinances.
Yes, I'm familiar with their template. Yes.
Okay. So, opting out just gives us the opportunity to protect the town, figure out what we find as a priority, and be able to enforce what we come up with.
I just don't see it as a physical possibility. If you decide to opt in, where are your ordinances?
Correct. Okay. Does anyone have questions for Ron?
So Ron, what you're saying is we can't get an ordinance in before that date?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you can find a planner and you can find an attorney, whoever that may be, to drop everything they're doing and work on these ordinances. And then as Mr. Rotolo had said, that the zoning ordinance needs to go to the planning board. And then if the governing body is willing to have special meetings for the first and second reading, you might make it, you might not.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I didn't mean to suggest that it couldn't be done. I mean,
Okay.
It's possible, but just the timing of it makes it extremely unlikely that something as important as this, with so much uncertainty, that you could get it done in time. I mean, even Ascend, and they seem to, run a very good operation, but they said, there's a tremendous learning curve in this. It's a whole new industry. Even the doctor said you need a comprehensive regulatory ordinance. I just don't think, we have time to do it. I mean, we discussed parking ordinances for 5 or 6 months before we adopt them. I mean, it's just the reality of the way ordinances work. And that, again, regardless of how you feel on the issue one way or another, I just think we have to do it justice and we have to be cautious about it, because we'll be stuck with something that you may be unhappy with if you don't do it the right way. I can tell you that I personally, I see no way that I could get this done and do it justice before that August date. I mean, you'd need outside counsel, somebody that has more of a working knowledge about it. Mickey was good enough to supply an ordinance that they've worked on or maybe got from another town. It's probably a good starting point, but let's face it, it came from Ascend. I mean, I get it, and that's okay, but we need to do what's best for the town. So
Joe,
and,
Ron is the zoning board attorney, correct?
yes,
Could he work for the township, or is it a conflict of interest?
I went over that with him. I don't think it would be a conflict. I don't believe so, and he didn't believe so either. So if you were looking for outside counsel, there are probably a handful of people from the municipality side statewide that have enough knowledge and background in it, Ron being one of them. But I don't think it will be a conflict. That's just my
Okay.
initial review of it. So
And I would just add that I am, as I've mentioned before, that I am the Medical Cannabis Review Board attorney, and I was asked to draft their ordinances, zoning, taxation, local licensing, community host agreement. I don't believe there's a conflict, but I respect whatever Mr. Rotolo advises.
Can I speak? Can I say something? First off, I'm very impressed with Ascend, but I think municipal law fosters growth and businesses, and I don't think we can limit a supermarket in town any more than limit any of these things. And I think it's 1% on the wholesaler tax. One of the things that I researched was a gentleman by the name of Joshua Wagner. He's with the Ansel, Grimm, and Aaron law firm. I believe, Ron, you know him. You serve on the New Jersey State Bar Association Cannabis Law Committee with him.
I know him, and he indicated that somebody from Rochelle Park reached out to him. Yes.
Yes, it was me. And I was very impressed that he called me back. But he sent us some information that was very, very interesting, because my position is we need an attorney that represents the municipality, not someone that's a license seeker. We've heard very good things from Ascend, but their interest is not to protect us. One of the very interesting questions that I saw on Mr. Bachner's website was, can we choose to opt out of specific license classes? And the answer is yes, but a municipality may prohibit the operation of any one or more licensed classes. However, the license classes you do permit will fall under the default zoning requirements without additional municipal action. And one of those points is the fact that since cannabis has been decriminalized, the zoning laws for schools, hospitals, places of worship, rehab zones, all of a sudden that's not a criminal act to do in that. So every single thing that we look at has to be looked at with a fine-tooth comb, as far as I'm concerned. It's very important that we get someone with the expertise of Mr. Bachner in there. He sent us a memorandum where federal law, because it's still a class 1 substance, how it affects normal things that we take for granted under contract law, attorney-client privilege in litigation. There's no such thing as a bankruptcy under cannabis law. Trademarks, banking, all those things need to be worked out, and we need to protect our residents and our town. And I think that I've sent his engagement letter out to everyone, and I think I was very impressed. We don't have to select him, but I think he has very good credentials. He's also the head of the cannabis division of his law firm. And this township needs money. There's no question that the revenue would be very, very beneficial to the things that would improve this town and really make the value in our homes and everything else. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Susan, I had a problem with the $5,000 retainer and the
I know.
$450 an hour.
I do. He's a partner. He is high. He doesn't come.
See if
But
there's
you
any
know-
openings over there for me.
Linda,
What's your retainer, Ron?
That's not the municipal.
I don't have one.
I know. But Linda, you want to be a test case, and this is the price of being on the cutting edge. You need someone who's very ahead of the game, who's on top of everything. And I know it's expensive. We would probably be, he has boilerplate opt-in agreements. I think other townships are looking at doing the same thing we're doing. I did fall off my chair when I saw that, but it's not unusual. And maybe get a blended rate if they come in and talk to us with the associate. But the fact that he has these credentials weighs in a lot. We're at the point, and you said that you want to be a test case, you want to be one of the first ones in the water.
But I think Ron could do it probably cheaper than that. And he's
Well,
right here representing
One
the
of the
town of
first
Rochelle Park.
questions I asked was, Ascend has business 7 days a week. Does,
So I apologize, and please forgive me, but as a former councilman in two different places, perhaps that's another discussion that's better suited for another time. I'm happy to give my time. I'm not sending the township a bill. I wouldn't think of it. Are there any other questions that either the mayor or council members have of me?
No, Ron, thank you.
No, thanks,
All
Ron.
right. I'm always available by phone. It's on the Hollywood Square box. You're welcome to jot that down, and please feel free to call me anytime. I know that I did speak to at least two of you. I'm happy to speak to the rest of you. And thank you very much for the invitation. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you want to open it up to the public?
can I just say one more thing? If we can't afford $5,000, we really need this revenue stream. You know, we can't afford $5,000 for a lawyer that's going to bring in 200,000, I'm hearing, or 400,000, or the likes of this kind of money. You need to be protected. This ordinance is going to be 10, 20 pages long when you protect yourself correctly and you allow if you open it up to all the licenses the way I think it needs to be done.
Excuse me, Mr. Rotolo, I'm just ask this question. 'Cause I mean, we've had this in the past also, maybe not with this,
Right.
not this issue. But my suggestion, and if I'm wrong, please tell me, is that maybe what we do is if we have to have a special meeting, we do so, bring in a couple of these professionals, let's do the interview like we would normally, like what we've done in the
Right,
past.
that's what we usually do.
Send out an RFQ.
And then, yeah, well, basically like an RFQ, get the people in here, let's interview, and then you can make a decision after that.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Because-
right, that's typically what we would do. I mean, we typically, even professionals, we do with an RFQ. You're not required to do that. It's just been our custom.
Right.
Something that's kind of specialized like this, you may not need to do that. You
Right.
maybe can just bring in a couple of people that have been flagged for us, you know, like this gentleman and Ron.
And it seems.
Maybe there's others. I really
Both
don't
are
know.
now going to serve the same board.
Yeah.
So seems to me that, it's at least we should allow, it's not up, obviously not up to me, but it
Yeah.
seems like that would be a good avenue to take.
Yeah.
This is
I think that makes sense. That makes sense.
Mayor,
Yes.
that's up to you. I'm just
Well, I
putting
think
it out
even
there.
just getting it through the planning board, I mean, they have their meeting tomorrow night. You still have the July meeting before the August meeting. You'd have to require them to have special meetings as well. I mean, I just
Yeah,
don't
you
even,
have what you have to do, you have
and we'd have to have it written right away, I
to
just
show them the
think
draft.
it's a crunch to get it done
Right.
by that August 21st deadline, especially when there's still moving parts to it.
No, again, my suggestion really isn't that we have this done by August, whatever.
No, I know,
Suggestion
yeah,
is just simply bring in the professionals and then you decide who you're going to go with at that point.
sure.
That's the only thing I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a big carrot on a stick out there, the money that we generate. I mean, that's what most of the discussion's about, but
Yep.
we really didn't need to do it the right way. I mean,
But are we gonna kick this down the can?
No.
Down the aisle?
We're not.
No,
We're not going to kick
we're
it
not
down.
going
We gotta do
We're
it
not
tonight.
going to.
We gotta make the decision tonight.
Say
We're doing it
how,
tonight.
say how much time frame. We're not gonna take 6 months to do a
No,
Right.
ordinance.
No,
Not happening.
no.
but you're right, and I agree with that, but I don't think you could do it in 60 days either, or whatever we have left. But yeah, I think it's something everybody's motivated to do pretty quickly.
Let's say
And,
August, September, have it done in 3 months. Could it be done?
We can't start collecting the money until January 1st anyway.
Doesn't
I mean,
matter. September, August, September, October. Can we do it in 90 days?
why can't we
This
do
is
it by
a-
September?
That's
Why
plenty
can't
of
we do
time
it
in
by
my book.
September?
You say September?
Yes. At the next
think that's-
meeting, we
that's
have
possible.
attorneys come in, we interview, we make a decision. They take out these boilerplates, they discuss to us what needs to be done. We have a lot of decisions to make. Ascenda's open 7 days a week. We can't do that because we have sunshine laws in this county. That may be subject to the sunshine laws. Mr. Mondella didn't have an answer for that. There's too many, the laws are tangled. And they'll tell us what we can do, what we can't do, and we make a decision. They draft an ordinance, we maybe go back once or twice, and we introduce it. I don't see why September is,
Well, we're
If it's
getting
up to
ahead
me,
of- Can we just take questions from the public so then we
Yeah.
can figure out how we're gonna vote and go forward with
One
this?
more question.
Because we can make all these suggestions once we vote.
Right. One more question. Chief, again, what's your feelings on this business? Selling retail?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. I can tell you that we deal with retail every day. My shop probably knows that 3,300 foot traffic, and I'm not there. Our offices are not there. Or a local 7-Eleven, no matter, right? The amount of foot traffic that is in and out. I'm not going to comment on my personal beliefs of the cannabis industry is here. But as far as policing goes, after working with this team, the Ascend team is taking with my team members. I see no reason, I see no extra burden to put upon the police.
Thank you.
The sooner we do it, it allows them to go get their, make a license application. You know, that's what they're all waiting for the townships to do. So if you want to be on the cutting edge.
We need to be,
Let-
because there's no revenue in this.
I say we hire this lawyer tonight. We set it up tonight.
Don't we want to hear from, don't we want to hear from the public?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's open it up to the public at this point.
I make a motion to open to the public.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, we'll start with the people in this room and then we'll move to online. So anyone in this room who would like to ask a question, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address.
My name is George Martinez, 123 Central Avenue. I want to thank all of you, but I definitely want to thank the Ascend team. I think they did a great presentation. They really went into detail about the safety protocols in place, how they've managed their store up until now, and how they plan to continue doing it. And thank you also to the chief. I think he said some great things, and to the doctor that they got in here. It was great to hear from a professional dispelling some of the bad information that's out there about cannabis use and adult use. So, and before I go into my written statement, I do want to say that this was passed 9 months ago. And if it's gotten to this point where it feels like it's too late, that's kind of on you guys. And if the fear is doing this before the election, that's back to the governor. That's just my opinion. So good evening, Mayor Rotolo, committee members, Mr. Rotolo. I'm here to ask you to not pass this ordinance currently being debated today. This would clearly be a big mistake that could potentially rob our town of a significant influx of tax revenue. I firmly believe that the role of government is to protect both small and large businesses and to protect the sovereignty and rights of the individual. If you pass this, you're basically doing none of that. New Jersey overwhelmingly on a 2-to-1 ratio passed this law, and residents of Rochelle Park were part of those voters. And they voted to legalize it over adults 21 and over. So as a representative body, it's your duty to carry out the will of the people, and New Jerseyans spoke loud and clear. When I was here 2 weeks ago, I heard many arguments against allowing the sale of cannabis in our township. None of them were really compelling. Some arguments were not based on facts, but rather speculation, bad data, and outdated thinking on the use of cannabis and the people who use it. Today, I've heard some other arguments, and they really came down to cherry picking and the fallacy of incomplete evidence. One argument made is that it would be more accessible to people under 21, specifically children. I can assure you that cannabis right now is accessible to anyone 21 and over, and in most cases, it's more dangerous if you're purchasing it from the illegal market for reasons that both the Ascend and I think the chief went into. Not only are you buying it from criminals in street corners and on the street, you're buying things that are not regulated. You do not know what's in it, how strong it is, and that no matter what decision you make today, it's still going to be out there on our streets. Alcohol is far more addictive and harmful than cannabis. Why are we here? Right in the beginning of the meeting, you guys just, how many liquor licenses did you approve? There's a liquor store down the block from Midland School, where my son goes, where my daughter will be going to next year. So the concern is really the children. Why are we not debating the tobacco industry, the liquor industry, all things that are known to be more harmful than cannabis? Another argument is over the marketing of cannabis and how it targets young people through products like gummies, edibles, etc. While true, those same tactics are used by the alcohol industry, and those were addressed by the second. They will not be selling things like that, not only because of them, but because of New Jersey state law. A recent study done by North Carolina Chapel Hill showed that the liquor industry in 2016 made $17.5 billion, or 8.6% of their total sales that year, due to underage drinking. Where is the outreach there? Why are we not legislating that really is a concern of our young children, or young adults, using illegal substances? If one was down, if someone was to drink a full bottle of Jack Daniels right now, they would be headed straight to the hospital to get their stomach pumped if they didn't pass away before that. If you took 10 Tylenol pills in one shot, you're not gonna wake up. The worst thing that happens if you smoke a joint, you're gonna get hungry and fall asleep. As a parent, I can assure you that, I understand the concern for our youth, but that responsibility is on us as parents and not on you as a representative body. As a parent, I can assure you that I think that selling cannabis in our town can only benefit our entire community, and in no way am I worried about the accessibility of it to my children. Our police department is one of the best that I've seen, and I fully trust them in the fact that they can uphold the law and ensure the residents and others coming to Rochelle Park to purchase cannabis will do so legally, and it adheres to our ordinances and state law. And I'm not saying that to be a brown nose. I've lived in many different towns here in New Jersey throughout my time, throughout my life, and they really are one of the best. And I'm really proud of that you guys are the ones protecting us and serving us. I assure you that we are currently in the best position to leverage the legalization of cannabis to benefit our township. But we risk squandering that if we decide to pass this over and let other towns like Hackensack, Maven, and Paramus open up their own shops. By then, it might be too late. I know plenty of people from all walks of life who smoke cannabis. None of them are criminals. Many are hard workers, dedicated parents, homeowners, and again, come from different professions, from the legal community, the tribal community, right down to blue collar workers. This notion that only criminals or people of bad taste use cannabis is outdated and just flatly wrong. I look forward to the committee following the will of the residents and providing our township with an opportunity to generate tax revenue and in turn grow and prosper, and in turn give their residents the opportunity to buy legal and safe cannabis here in town, thus making it safer for everyone. Thank you for your time, and yeah, hope you guys know.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Any other members of the public in the room? Hi, state your name and address, please.
Christopher Thompson, 22 Ward Street. We've heard from the cannabis who is tonight here. It's a moral issue. It's a moral issue. And what you have is adults who are children inside. And they don't feel the responsibility, don't feel the fight for the light out. And they don't smoke like a person has a glass of wine and dinner. They smoke like an alcoholic gets drunk every time they drink. So they smoke to get stoned. We call these people in high school WAST, W-A-S-T. And they can maintain jobs, they can do, they can have families, but they are adults who are forever children inside, do not deal with the responsibilities. And it's a moral issue. I don't know the laws, and I know that there's laws out there that it has to be included. But I have two 21-year-olds. I hope you will be so for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public in this room? Hello.
What happened to this old street? I'm a little bit confused. My opinion is, from what you're saying tonight, you are questionable to approving this, but you want to make sure it's right. Susan Iapucci suggested a lawyer. One of my questions is, you're getting a lawyer to what, help you write this thing, or
Absolutely.
to help you write it so that everything is covered.
Yes.
So we have no ordinance in place right now. Okay. So
No ordinance, so you're getting legal help
Correct.
to write the
to help
ordinance,
you write the ordinance.
correct.
So would it make sense to table this whole thing? Get your legal help, write the ordinance?
So the way this works is there's an August 21st deadline. If you make no decision by August 21st, that's equivalent to saying yes to all uses. Without an ordinance in place, that yes means that the state dictates it. So things like licensing fees wouldn't be in there because we don't have an ordinance for that. Any other, maybe we want to limit how many are in this town. That wouldn't be in there because none of that would exist. So what we're trying to say is say no because of this date. And there's been a lot of movement in this since, I think, March 9th when it came out. Maybe it wasn't the 9th, but I think it was March when it came out. There's been a lot of changes. So we've been discussing it, trying to learn as much as we can. This August 21st date exists. The state guidelines also don't come out until August 21st. So what we're saying is if we say no for now, that protects us from any changes or any other business coming in. During that time, we're going to get some legal assistance to write an ordinance, get our ordinance in place, get it reviewed by the planning board, get it in place. Once that's in place, we say yes, but then the town is protected. So no isn't a permanent no, but doing nothing or yes, you're cemented for 5 years and you have no say. Saying no gives you control, excuse me, to write those ordinances, get whatever uses you want to approve in place, and then you can change it to yes.
Right, but if you hire the attorney, you don't know how fast he can work either. Right. So you have until October, August 21st
Yes,
to say no.
correct.
So why the rush to say no now? Without hearing all the facts first. Just
We're
because
learning the
you
facts,
can
but-
opt back in,
We have the option of opting back in.
and you're quite sure that you can opt out and opt in tomorrow if you want.
Correct.
There's no waiting period or anything.
No.
I don't know if that's a fact, but
I agree, Karen.
because Ron did say it's probably the case, but he's not 100% sure. I know
He had
that.
it in his
I have
presentation.
read articles both ways, that's why I'm questioning.
The Star Ledger had it, the Star Ledger.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not in the law, so.
And he said you could do it a day or a month later.
It doesn't, what he said was, and what we've all read, is that it doesn't specifically say that, but just logically, it's extremely unlikely that you wouldn't be permitted to do that. Who's going to oppose you?
I don't know, would someone be able to-
They're not gonna, you know,
Someone be able to,
that-
go to court and say you
that's
passed an
really-
ordinance and then,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can or not. I mean,
The real issue is, could you get a real ordinance, a comprehensive ordinance done in time? I mean,
Right.
That's really the main question, so.
You still have to live the meeting, so maybe you should just table it for tonight.
We're not going to have an ordinance written by then.
Or-
We're not going to have an ordinance written by then.
I'm not saying have an ordinance. I'm just saying, talk to the attorney you're going to hire, either one it is, and find out the particulars. You can still opt out next month. But check, make sure that you can opt out and opt in right away.
There was talk at one time about the time in between you opt out and then you try to opt back in. There's an open window there. I had read that somewhere. So
Yeah, the latest, I didn't print that one out, but
there's a
Just the idea
window
that-
between.
Just the idea that there's uncertainty about this piece of it, what else is there that is gonna come out when they set the standard? So it's just crazy that we're even talking about this.
You can't
It really
do
is.
anyway. I mean, it's just not.
am definitely for having it in town because it'll help us bring in revenue at no cost us with additional kids going to school or anything, and we need that revenue back. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other,
I just want some clarification we had mentioned earlier. So the January 1st, 2022 date, if that it's going to go into effect with actual sale here in town or in New Jersey.
yes,
Okay, so then why not opt in now?
because we have no ordinance in
I
place.
understand, but if it's not going to go into effect until January 2022 anyway, you have all that time to work on it regardless.
No,
We do
you
not.
can't do that. You have to, opting in
No, I
is,
understand, opting in, yes. I
But
understand
saying
that
yes
opting in
is-
without the ordinance just puts us under the state, whatever the
No.
state approved, right? We're just
No.
opting
No.
yes into the six
you have to
licenses
have
that
an
they have.
ordinance in order to say yes. You have to vote on an opt-in ordinance in order to do that.
So you're saying that we can't opt in and then retroactively then go back and place ordinances? 'Cause then I'm
No.
interested in what
If you
you're
say yes now, whatever you have in place now is what you're going with.
saying. And you
We
can't
have
amend that
nothing
later
in
on
place
as a
now.
legislative body in town.
Yeah, I think I asked him that. I asked him. No, he said you
No.
can't. I think he told me you can't. I asked him that.
And if we're not sure that if we can then retroactively buy back into it, then we're risking losing
We have-
potentially $400,000.
If you say yes now, whatever is in place, which is nothing, you're locked in for 5 years.
So if there's
That means no
something-
limitations of how many businesses. That means no collecting of licensing fees. That means no limitations of hours, of size, of, or all 6 uses.
And has that been in place for 9 months?
No, it's
No.
5 years.
Or like, oh, to February.
No, if you don't,
So the August 21st deadline that you guys were working on.
right.
when-
We were given
after
100
November?
No, we were given 180 days. We are in that 180 days. In that time, we've been discussing this all along. We've been learning as much as we can. We've been trying to find people. We've been working hard we're not at the end of the 180 days. We're in the midst of 180 days. So we are, one person at a time, please, at the microphone. So we are in the midst of that 180 days at this point. So again, if we want specific things, if we want to have a voice in this, we say no, we develop an ordinance specifically for our town, and then we opt in.
My
We
concern
have
is that we're
two-
never gonna opt back in, or we'll be opting in too late. That's my only
No.
concern. And again, is the other concern is that we're not even sure if we can opt in. because again,
We can opt in.
Will you just acknowledge that that's not?
I didn't No, all along, they've been telling us that saying yes, you're locked into 5 years.
Understood.
If you say no, you can opt in, but if you're saying yes, you're stuck with yes. You
So
cannot
think
opt
the rest
out.
of
You
the
can,
lawyer, if we opt in without anything in place and just working something retroactive.
there is no retroactive. Whatever it is, it is. So if you say yes now, you're saying yes to whatever's in place. There is no retroactive.
I think you're saying there's
And
no
just-
place where we're opting into it. You're saying there's nothing in place, but if we say yes, that we're.
And just the fact that all these questions are unanswered is further support for the fact that we need to go slow with it. There's a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, that's to why, what's the rush? I mean, what is the rush?
But how
There
slow?
is no rush.
How
Ascend's not
slow?
going anywhere. Ascend, they have 20 cashiers, more cashiers than any other place in the country, I think he said. Then they're not moving out of here if we don't adopt an ordinance in 60 days, and we do it in 120 days. They're not going anywhere, and we hope they don't go anywhere.
So we have 2 examples in
We
town.
just got to do it right.
You can't build a skyscraper in town because we have architectural ordinances in town. We do have one skyscraper in town because it was built before we had any of those ordinances. This is the same thing, okay? Imagine this is a skyscraper going in your backyard. You don't want that. You want us to have an ordinance in place first. We had a similar situation with billboards, that we didn't have an ordinance and billboards came in on the highway, which I'm sure you can see from your house.
Yep.
So we want ordinances in place first. And then once we say yes to that, once we have the ordinances in place, we could determine saying yes to that.
Would you guys be willing to put a hard date on when you would be willing to opt in and be ready?
Okay, so there's still, again, state guidelines have until August 21st. There's moving targets on this. As the League of Municipalities said in their in their sample is that due to the complexity and novelty of this act. So right there, it's very complex and it's brand new. Okay, so
Relatively brand new. I mean, there's many states in our country that are very.
we are, yes, but New Jersey is unique and the laws here are for New Jersey. So because, and the League of Municipalities is suggesting, due to the complexity and novelty of this act, the many areas of municipal law that are or may be implicated in decisions as to whether or what extent cannabis and medical cannabis, which you already have, should be permitted for land use purposes and otherwise regulated in particular municipality. So we want to do it right. We don't want to do it just quick. If we say yes now, we have no say. The state has the say. And like I said, there's still moving parts to this. We want to say yes to what we want, not what is still out there.
I'll be curious to see what towns vote into. All right, thank you.
So
I have one comment because, and your attorney can confirm this. I keep hearing you say that if you opt in, you're stuck for 5 years. That's absolutely false. Okay, if you opt in, you can amend your ordinance and it's done every day. I'm sure your township attorney can tell you that
If-
amending an ordinance is standard ordinary course. I'm a municipal attorney also, and my other hat that I wear on a daily basis, so I generally advise.
But you still have to have an ordinance in place.
yeah, we don't have an ordinance.
I mean,
Well, you can craft an ordinance and then it's possible, I'm not saying this is what you want to do, but it is possible to craft an ordinance allowing, for example, a send or one operator to expand into adult use and then come back and amend that ordinance to allow for other establishments in town. You can add to that number and you can change your ordinance and dial in whatever you decide you need to do with that extra time. But to say that it's not possible to craft something now with 2 months to go is not entirely fair and it's not entirely accurate.
the only reason to do that would be to address your client's company. I mean, it gives them protection. There'd be no other there's no other reason to do that. I mean, why we would rush an ordinance and jump in and rush an ordinance just to protect the send, which, you know, you could,
It's not what I'm
member of the
suggesting.
community,
I'm
but that's-
just trying to clear up a point of confusion.
I don't disagree with you, but you still have to have an ordinance.
I agree with you, and
So-
look, I'm just trying to make sure that we're clear here
Okay.
what we're talking about. It's possible to do it. I'm not saying you can't, you will, or you can, but it's possible.
It's
and-
possible to do the whole ordinance, and theoretically possible to do the whole ordinance in 60 days.
I mean, in all due respect, like, these guys who know what they're doing can draft and address all of your issues, and the ordinance can be drafted in less than that. I mean.
They're not saying that to us. If this is the public portion, can we please give the public a chance?
Absolutely, I'm speaking as a member of the public, and I'm just trying to clear up a point of confusion, I think. And so I just wanted everybody to be aware that can introduce an ordinance, and you can go back and amend it, and you're not stuck for 5 years, which is what the talking point is, so.
Hello, Michael Warren, 181 West Golden Street. I'm in favor of bringing the adult use cannabis personally myself. You know, I know there's talk today about the ordinances. I see much promise from Councilman Mosca and Councilman Bushi about bringing in an attorney to do so. As a former member of this body, I know how slow things can go. Sometimes they go slow on purpose. Sometimes they're slow on accident. I hope that this body really considers the revenue that this business can bring. And either you hire someone to help you write the ordinance, which I think, you know, Mr. Rotolo, you're very capable to work with someone. And again, I think the gentleman here is correct. An ordinance can be written to whatever standards you want. Very quickly, you know, there's a deadline, unfortunately, however long it took to discuss this amongst the governing body, we're at this point now. But I just wanted to say this is not an easy decision, I understand that, but I hope that you really thought about the potential that this could bring to Rochelle Park, the things that you want to bring, the things that the public wants to see here with that revenue. And I know it's hard, it's not always about the money, but sometimes it's about the money in this case. And I appreciate, you know, the people here who have been suggesting moving forward with something that will lead to an eventual approval. So thank you very much for your time, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amber Hassel, 40 Bars.
I would like to just suggest that you listen to Lynn's recommendation to just put it on hold. We don't know for sure if you can definitely opt back in. I understand it's in flux, the state issues different statements day by day, but we don't want to, at least I would hope, you don't want to say no on the assumption that you can vote yes, and then find out, well, maybe not. Linda heard something when she said there's a time period in between, you don't know if it's gonna be a time period, it's not. And since you have time to write an ordinance, possibly in the next few months, why not put tonight's vote on hold? Look into hiring lawyers or whoever, and planners, the gentleman said, and see if you can get it done in time. If you can't, you still have time to vote no if that's what you decided to do, or vote yes, as the majority of citizens in Rochelle Park voted for. My personal opinion, your personal opinion is not what should be guiding this. What should be steering you is the fact that the votes of the people in Rochelle Park overwhelmingly voted yes for this. It has nothing to do with any of our personal opinions or issues or whatever. You were voted to represent the people, and the people voted for it yes. So if you vote no, you are going by personal issues, not by what the people you represent voted. And I don't see why there's a problem if you wait a month. Talk to lawyers, talk to people, find out if you can get this done. If you really want to get an ordinance done, I do believe you can get it written in a quick amount of time. And then next month's meeting, you can decide you want to pass this ordinance, and you can still vote yes. If you have 2 months, why rush tonight and vote against it? And the only other thing, I don't know the gentleman that Sue mentioned, the lawyer, but on one hand, we're talking about how we need money, on the other hand, we're running out to get a guy who's $5,000 a shot. And I'm sure that's not a flat fee. I'm sure by the time he starts working on this stuff, well, it'll cost you this for this and this for this. It's a lot of money. You had one lawyer who said he would work on it. He's done it for the city of Hoboken. And it was good, so I would think they have a lot more to worry about than Beatrice Township. So maybe use his experience and his knowledge. I would talk to neighboring towns, and let's say they did 100%. Paramus just voted to do it. Some of our other neighboring towns voted to do it. So speak, mayor to mayor, you guys talk, see what they found out, find out what he suggests. And I have to believe that in less than a month's time, you can come up with, speaking to all these people, what you should have. And then you have something in place. Then you can vote yes based on what the citizens of the town wanted. And then if you can amend things based on what he said, then you can still say, okay, well, we only want one, no, we changed it, we want two. We want to control the hours from this to this, whatever. Once you have something in place, you could work from that. So that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi, Laura Sosky from Kilgore Street. I just want to say thank you to Susan and Gail and all your hard work for standing up for our town and really taking a chance to look into it and get some ordinance prepared to benefit the residents of our town rather than looking at a corporation that just wants to make money off of us. I understand it's an industry, it's here, what are we gonna do about it? But at least you're trying to put our town first, get those ordinances in place before we jump headlong and we're stuck with something that we can't get out of. And, I just want to say thank you for all the hard work and research going into protecting our residents rather than protecting the corporation, which I don't think is your job. Your job is to protect the residents and the benefit of our town. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Caitlin Tyrell. I live at 29 Brooks Ave. And I just want to say, I want to make sure that we're not missing the boat on this. So when we hear Sen and the presentation they gave tonight, it was very thorough. They want to get back to our community. We know we need them financially. we're in a place where we don't have that much revenue coming in, and they kind of lowballed it. If you go out 400K per year, so doing some rough estimates based off the numbers they shared, there's potential for that to go even higher. And so what we need to do is make sure that their success is also our success. And so saying that we don't have enough time right now, I'm scared that if we don't start to get the ball rolling, that they may leave our town and go look for other towns that have approved it. And then where are we at? So I think there is an opportunity for us to lay out a project plan to make sure that we can meet some deadlines. There's 2 months to put together an ordinance. So if we start to think about, all right, what are the steps that we have to do there? We have to get lawyers, we have to figure out ordinances, get the zoning board in. Let's project plan this and map it out, because we might be able to make it. And if we all put commitment in there, we can all start to think about how we can ensure that we're putting forth our town first, but also bringing along the business that we can partner with, where we can all be successful together. So thank you guys for being here tonight and for talking it through. I think there's ways that we could work together, and really you have to lay out a project plan of the steps that we need and what we want from it, so that we can make that deadline. Because my concern is if we wait too long, the ship's gonna fail, and it's then maybe move on to another town where they have the opportunity to make that revenue right away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other member of the public in this room?
Can I say something?
Have we got a?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, okay. So anybody online from the public who'd like to speak or ask a question, please open your microphone, state your name and address. Okay, it doesn't look like any.
Unmuted.
Okay.
Mayor, I make a motion to close the public
Hello?
portion.
Oh, wait, we got a person. Hello? Hello, we can hear you. Hold on, we got 2 people.
All
Okay,
right. Let
Edgar was first.
Edward, go ahead.
let's try, is your name Edward? Hi, Edward?
Yes, can you hear me, council?
Yes, we can hear you. Just please state your name and address.
My name is Edward Lefty Grimes. I am with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey, advocating for disabled rights and for cannabis patients' rights. I have a question.
Okay.
Are you taking the cannabis tax on medical? Are you accepting that tax?
So,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Okay. Could you please consider people in wheelchairs with this tax? Because what this tax is, it's a tax on patients. It's a tax on wheelchairs. It's a tax on cancer and multiple sclerosis. And all we ask for is representation for that taxation, and give us wheelchair access throughout your town. I would say about 1/4 to 1/3 of your businesses in your town have no wheelchair access. You have these 1 steps in a lot of these places that are barriers. A 1 step is a wall to someone in a wheelchair, and many cannabis patients are in wheelchairs and are on disability, and they're hurting. And we need all the help we can get. We're getting taxed by the state, 7%. We're getting a 2% tax by the towns, and we're just asking for representation for that taxation, because people in wheelchairs are suffering. We need to put the last first. When they start the recreational, people in the wheelchairs are going to be in the back of the line. They're going to be out of the strain. They're already out of the strains that we need. They're out of the amounts that we need, and it's way overpriced. We have corporate cannabis coming in here, giving us moldy cannabis, and they're building a huge industry. These international corporations are coming in here, building an industry off the back of the sick and dying. And we want small craft cannabis. We want mom and pop cannabis. We want local people growing cannabis. Your neighbor, someone in your county, you should have an ordinance where someone in your county, all the board members of the grows and all the owners must be living in your county or even in your city and take part in your community. That's important. And to please take care of the patients first and foremost. Use that tax for something that we need, like wheelchair access. And you have some schools that you have, I see steps, but I don't know what it's like inside, if there's steps inside, but I know at Bayonne High School, when I was in the podium, at my wheelchair in the podium at the main auditorium there, I was a fire hazard because there's only one wheelchair ramp in. The front of the high school has no wheelchair access. So every school should have multiple wheelchair accessible entrances because children should not be fire hazards. These are the things that we should fix with this wheelchair tax. And I'll end it with this. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody say anything?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you for your comment. We saw someone else. Jeff, did you want to say something?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, Jeffrey King, 24 Elizabeth Parkway, Eatontown. Definitely agree with what Mr. Grimes was saying about people in wheelchairs who are sick and suffering. We need to help them out. We definitely want to have small craft cannabis. We don't want to be hostage to the multi-state operators that operate like Amazon, just without real regard to the workers or the consumers. The consumers of cannabis actually have suffered now 50 years. 50 years this month was the war on drugs declared. We were victimized and ostracized and just treated terribly for political reasons, not because this substance had any negative effects, because it was politically expedient to marginalize our community. And I feel like this continues, even though it's legal now, it's a financial and economic marginalization of the core of our community. This discussion tonight, we're going to get a hotshot shark limousine lawyer to maximize our revenue. I don't know about that. What about the people who are still in prison for this? Where's the compassion for them? Where are we speaking up for expungements? Let's put some of the revenue into that, fixing the communities that were harmed by this prohibition, this racist war on drugs. Why don't we talk about home growing? Why don't we talk about that? Why don't we have more say for the people that voted yes for this, wanted home growing? We need home growing for the patients. This is not affordable medicine. It's not available the strain they need. So let's not just be all about, oh, let's get money. Let's think about the people that we're talking about. We're talking about people who consume this herb. It's not just a commodity. It's not just something that you buy and sell and maximize a profit on. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Could I say something?
Well, let me just get through all the, so is there anybody else online who'd like to speak?
Yes, I would like to.
Hi, your name and address, please.
Yes, Hugh Giordano, 57 Argyle, Blackwood, New Jersey. I am here today as a representative of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW. UFCW is the official cannabis labor union of the United States under the guise of the AFL-CIO. We do not currently represent Ascend in New Jersey. We just had a group of workers in Illinois, actually, UFCW Local 881 in Springfield, Illinois, join the UFCW. But we hope to be partners with Ascend in the future and let the workers know that we're always here for them. But in speaking about this ordinance, I wanted to say that the UFCW always opposes an opt-out because it does hurt good jobs. And I can talk about factual things about this because we currently represent other facilities here in New Jersey. The first one was the Garden State Dispensary in Woodbridge. And those workers get a union living wage. They get union health care. They get union dental, vision, sick time benefits, paternity leave. And they are highly trained and educated workers. We have an apprenticeship program. We have folks in that apprenticeship program with horticulture, botany, and chemistry degrees. Even the Garden State Dispensary, they have a pharmacist that works up front. So these are good union jobs that could be lost in Rochelle Park. I would like to say, though, that I do respect the fact that you are taking your time. I understand that. It's a new thing. So I can give you a couple of suggestions. One, the city of Bayonne passed an ordinance, and they did a great job about 2 months ago. And in that ordinance, it lays out application fees, renewal fees, and the most important part of it, which is really important, is a merit-based system what reinforces what the state wants. Such things as environmental standards. If an employer used illegal pesticides in another state, who's to say they won't do it here in New Jersey? Another example, if an employer fights workers' rights in labor standards and they fight workers who want to join a union or anti-union, the state should know about that and the local municipality should know about that too, because that hurts really good careers. Because there is a difference between union careers and non-union careers, especially for workers' protections. So the city of Bayonne did a really great job with that. And I would, on behalf of the UFCW, I would really suggest that you look at that and get that counsel. I can also offer you a tour of the GSD vertically integrated facility. As you come visit, if you'd like to see that as well, see a unionized facility and see the workers. And I just want to say that, you know, this is a great opportunity, not only for the seed to sale part of the jobs, but we are also working with the NJ building trades. So the build out and retrofit will be done by carpenters and IBW. So these are the types of good jobs from shovel to sale that will be unionized jobs. So I hope that the council committee will consider that, City of Bayonne, and I hope that you'll want to protect the workers and make sure that even in the future, that if someone wants to expand into the adult use program or expand their medical side, that you'll look at their labor standards and see if they have a collective bargaining agreement that protects workers' rights. So thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Again, the UFCW, and to the workers and to Ascend, we're always here to talk to you as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else online? Okay, it looks like, oh, we got one more. Hello? Please state your name and address. I see the green. Caller 2. Do you want to speak?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please state your name and address.
Hi,
Hello.
Hi, my name is Alfonso Santiago. I live on 45 Howard Avenue. And I want to say that I think that it will be wise for you guys to opt out and just take your time to do the right thing for the town. And about that gentleman and the union, I'm a union worker myself, and every company has the right to fight any type of union structure within the company. And for him to say that he might be able to work with a Ascend, that's just all for their benefits. But I think that you guys are doing the right thing by opting out and just doing the right thing by the town, and just take your time and do the right ordinances and then think about it in the future. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else online? Okay, it looks like there's none. I'll get a motion to close the public portion.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Mayor,
Ms. Roll call.
Mayor, oh, you want to do a roll call?
Sure. Committee will move on, please.
Closing.
Close it.
Close.
Yeah, close it.
Yes, okay.
Committee will,
Just,
Yakabuchi,
Yes.
Committeeman Labasi,
Yes.
Committeeman Mosca.
Yes.
Mayor Artola.
Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to opt out of recreational cannabis and all classes of business at this time. I keep hearing this 180 days, and it's our responsibility. I believe Mr. Martinez said that we're dragging our feet. I'll just want to remind you that the state and the CRC doesn't have all their regulations in place yet, so I think it would be irresponsible for us to vote to opt in on something that we're not sure what we're exactly opting into. Having said that, I think that we should look into bringing in a specialist to help us draft a piece of legislation, a comprehensive ordinance that would ultimately allow for the sale of recreational cannabis. I think we already spoke about determining the number of potential licenses, license fees. Do we charge different fees for different licenses, the tax percentage, zoning issues, hours of operation, regulation of traffic? I guess a lot of this would go into the community host agreement. I mean, I just mentioned a few that we've spoken about all night. So I think we can all see that there's work that needs to be done. I think that Ascend has been a good partner to us up until now. They've been gracious enough to have us all in numerous times, including the police department. I think this is the type of business that we want in Rochelle Park. I appreciate all of you for coming in tonight and being so hospitable to us during the past few months. We only have one meeting left in July. I don't think that we should rush into the ordinance. Having said that, I also don't think that we should drag our feet with this and make it prolonged. So my suggestion would be is that we have a rough draft in place for our September work session. And then I guess I have a question for Ascend. You talked about the community training. Would you guys be willing to do that prior to an ordinance being introduced? So if the public has questions or are interested in learning more about your business, they'd be able to do that.
Okay, I see a lot of head nods.
And then I think once we have our ordinance in place and we see how it jives with what the state recommendations are, we can put it to a vote. And that would be, so I make a motion at this time to opt out of the recreational cannabis for all classes of business.
So it's a motion to approve the ordinance which is on the floor.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? All right, I'll second. Okay, so just because there's double negative, so if we're saying yes to opt out. That's what we're voting on at this point. Yes.
Committeewoman Boniface?
No, I just feel that this is something that's going to be kicked down the street or the aisle, as I've said before. I want to see that in September, and if September comes and there's no ordinance here, what's going to be next? Because I watched an ordinance go for 8 months and go back to the original last year. So you need to work on it.
So you'd rather just opt in and take whatever happens between now and.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Can I say something? What about an ad hoc committee? 2 of our committee members interview different attorneys, meet with them. We have the time and start to draft some of the ordinance pieces.
I think all 5 of us should hear what attorney we're
I think
hiring
she's right on
and
that.
not let just 2 people do it.
I agree.
Well, then maybe call a special meeting for the beginning of, for July.
July
Have a work
14th,
session
it's another Wednesday night.
And invite attorneys in. I think that's crucial to anything we do.
I agree.
Right, but I don't understand why we're trying to rush this now, when we have the August deadline of the 21st. Opt out and we can start all of this. If we all commit that we want to have something done by September, then we make it happen for September.
I don't want it to go beyond September. And
That's fine.
I think
I'm
in
fine with
fairness to as Ascend has been such a good partner to us.
I'm
and
fine
so
with that.
fair to us, that they have licensing requirements too. There's a limited number of these licenses going around. They have a time thing, a time constraint too. So I'll opt out.
We've
but
been working
September-
on this, yes. I mean, we have never dragged our feet in this. As soon as we found out about it, we've learned about it, we've talked about it at every meeting for months now. So we've been working on it. I don't know where this dragging of feet comes from. Like I said, we've all been pulling.
But this has been going on for a while and we're here into the 4th month.
Right, but some of these
No.
things that we've gotten now weren't there in the beginning. But we've been getting more and more information as more and more information has come out. The state didn't provide, and finding these professionals, it took some time. I mean, we worked at it and we've gotten to this point, but it wasn't because of dragging our feet. It was just because the information wasn't available. We've all worked hard on this and we've all come up with different ideas on how to try to get this going. So, I mean, it's been a topic ever since. So
There's motion.
okay, so motion made and seconded.
I'm doing wrong.
She's doing a roll call already.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Okay.
All right. I'll opt
Committeewoman
out.
Akabuchi?
I'll opt out, but with the requirement that we vote on something
So,
at the end of
yeah, so
September.
you're saying yes to opt out. Okay.
Committeeman Lavasi?
Yes.
Committeeman Mosca?
I'm not ready to opt out yet. I think we should wait, so I'm going down.
Yeah.
Okay, so the vote is 3-2
3-2.
to adopt the ordinance as drafted.
Yes. And now we have to want to roll.
Okay. Next on the agenda is number 2021.
Well, wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we agree on getting people to come in to
Yeah,
our
that
next
was all
meeting?
part of it. I mean, we're,
Well,
we're,
you-
s-
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
still
that wasn't
working on
really part of the ordinance, but
you're correct, but that's part of our,
Right.
desire
if you want
to.
to invite, entertain, proposals from outside counsel and have them come in at a meeting to be either the July meeting or some other meeting, if you set a special meeting, we can do that.
July the 7th is it's 2 weeks from now. Just about 2 weeks to interview attorneys and go on that date and then let it.
Do we have to pass something, Joe, to do that?
Well, you have to schedule a special meeting.
We have to schedule, we have to
But
find
you
people.
don't have
schedule
to,
it.
you don't have to pass anything to invite people in. You could leave it up to the mayor or Susan or yourself or whomever to come up with names, and Bob will put out the invitation and they'll come in. You don't need any formal action.
Okay.
So to retain somebody, yes, but we could have a resolution for that night. So.
Right, all along we said no wasn't ending this, no was beginning this, to protect us for this and move forward. Okay. We ready to move on to the next item on the agenda?
So the agreement is that we want to have a special meeting on July 7th?
Well, we'd have to see availability of,
Hold on 1 minute. Nick just mentioned to me he won't be here for the 7th.
Yeah, I
so
can do
make
the
it
14th. You want to schedule the meeting for the 14th and have them come in for the 14th?
We'd have to see availability, I mean, we
Well,
can.
it's enough time
suggest
to
that.
get them, so
Okay,
Well, we still have to advertise, so the whole point.
Yeah.
yeah.
do it for the 14th and then we'll get who we can get in.
7,
7.
7,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
What is that, just special session for that alone, right?
Yes.
Special meeting.
Hiring.
But it's still open to the public.
It's a regular meeting, but it's a meeting specifically for that.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2021-106, resolution authorizing settlement of litigation. Is there any discussion on this?
Yeah, let me mention what it is. We talked about it at the last meeting. There was a billboard denial by the zoning board and an appeal was filed. We were brought in as a defendant on a damage claim. So the zoning board has now at least preliminarily made a decision to settle it and grant the approval with certain conditions. We just have to approve this settlement because we're a party to the litigation. We're not doing anything, not paying anything. We don't have to do anything, but technically our consent is required. So that's why it's on.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? If not, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Committeewoman Bonface,
Yes.
Committeewoman Yakabuchi,
Yes.
Committeeman Bazey,
Yes.
Committeeman Maska,
Yes.
Mayor Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolutions are complete.
Oh,
Last meeting,
Last
last
meeting, well,
resolution.
it's not. Special meeting
Yeah,
now.
no.
That went.
Special
Okay.
meeting.
Administrator, do you have reports?
Just real
Okay,
quick,
that's pretty
if I
much
can.
it for the cannabis part of the meeting. That was a long
So just
cannabis
give you a
meeting.
quick update on the replacement of the
Wow.
fuel tanks.
Impressive.
An
hour and a half of just straight cannabis talk.
Brown this morning.
I got my fill of cannabis talk tonight. I tell you, that's pretty cool.
So we can start to utilize or at least so we can start selling and utilizing the gas here.
I should have more information tomorrow. I spoke with the CFO about this as well. And we will be continuing to be working on it. That's won't be going, quite honestly, it's going a lot slower than I really want it to be. The Sprout Brook project has progressed really nicely. All the dredging, from my understanding, is all complete, and the project is almost done. So I'm very happy to hear about that. I'm sure the residents are as well. The application process for the DPW laborer will close tomorrow afternoon. So we will be doing interviews within the next week or so, as far as that goes. And tomorrow I have a meeting with the superintendent, business administrator at the school reference to, remember last year we did that project on William Street and William and right. So anyways, we're gonna be meeting tomorrow afternoon just to discuss everything. Looks like they want to partner in with us, so.
So we're going to have that conversation as well. So those are the things that I really needed to touch on.
Thank you. have any,
I have no further.
Liz, do you have any? Okay, so you're up first. Linda, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Hey. Hey. Hey, what happened? Why'd you stop? Why'd you stop? Why'd that happen? That was weird. What just happened? Huh? What happened? I lost my sound. Oh, hurtful.
Well, you can't get no weed here. 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 Keep your cancer home, dear. You can't get no weed. Barnegat, Berkeley, Bridgeton, Bridgewater, Brigantine, Carlsbad, Chatham, Clifton, Cranberry, East for the Ferd, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Fairhaven, Freehold, Garfield, Hasbrook Heights, Hawthorne, Lavaland, Lodi, Jamesburg, Hazlitt, Mawa. You can't get no weed here. 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 Keep your cancer home, dear. You can't get no weed. A filter. Manville, Mannington, Point Pleasant Beach, Hamilton, Caldwell, Oakland, Dodgeport, Ridgewood, Ringwood, Seaside High, Seagirt, Shrewsbury, Sea, Focus, Surf, City, Spotswood, Upper Freehold, Upper Saddle River, Wall, and way. You can't get no weed here. 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 Keep your cancer home, dear. You can't get no weed. Weehawken, West Caldwell, West Long Branch, Westwood, Wyckoff, Woodcliff, Lake. Palisades Park, it's Palisades Park. There's no wheelchair access, it's Palisades Park. Oh no. You can't get no weed here. 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 Keep your wheelchairs home, dear. You can't get no weed. Chester, Franklin Lakes, Harding, Midland Park, Ramsey, Oakville, Dolce-Pan, Ramsey, Denville, Avalon, Parsippany, Pleasantville, Saddlebrook, Brecken, USA. You can't get no weed here. 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 Keep your cancer home, dear. You can't get no weed. You can't get no weed. Well, it's 40 below and I don't give a fuck. Got a doobie in my truck and I'm off to the ATC. It's pass to the left, take from the right. Come on, you fucking tell me don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you fuck the rotation again. You pissed me off, you fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. Well, here comes Johnny with a bong in his hand. He's a one-dab man, he's off to the ATC. It's pass to the left, take for the right. Come on, you fucking dummy, don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you knock your head off again. You piss me off, you fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. It's hot as hell, I don't give a shit. Got my duty all lit and I'm off to the ATC. It's pass to the left, take from the right. Come on, you fucking dummy, don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you rip the joint in half. You piss me off, you fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. Well, here comes Billy with a blunt in his mouth. He's down from the south, he's down for the ATC. It's pass to the left, take from the right. Come on, you fucking dummy, don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you run the rotation again. You piss me off, you fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. I'm breaking up buds in the hot sun. Bang for the law and the bang one. Bang for the law and the bang one. I needed Fico cause I had none. Bang for the law and the bang one. Bang for the law and the bang one. I left my bong and it feels so bad. I guess my bowl is cashed. Bang Julio's the best bong for my hash. Bang for the law and the bang one. Bang for the law and the bang one.
Bong, 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 bong. Bong 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 bong.
People feeling 6 lungs. Bang for the law and the bang one. Bang for the law and the bang one.
I lost my bong and I
lost my
bang for the law and the
bang one.
Bang for the law and the
bang one.
Bang 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 bang
bang bang.
Bang 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 bang
bang bang.
Whoa.
Wow. Oh man. It's too much fun. All right, one more. Just one more. How high is your papa, mama? 20 feet high and rising. How high is your mama, papa? 20 feet high and rising. Got my dabs, big fat slabs. We got so high we all called cabs. I sent my cannabis to the labs. 20 feet high and rising. How high is your papa, mama? 30 feet high and rising. How high is your papa, mama? 30 feet high and rising. What you need? I got some weed. I got the clones, I got the seeds. Smoke cannabis and don't do speed. 30 feet high and rising. How high is your papa, mama? 40 feet high and rising. How high is your papa, mama? 40 feet high and rising. Cheech and Chong in an 8-foot bong helps us all to get along. Makes us write some really dumb song. 50 feet high and rising. How high is your papa, mama? 50 feet high and rising. How high is your papa, mama? 50 feet high and rising. My bong is full, tastes wonderful. Pull up a chair and take a pull. The lemon terps are really flavorful. 50 feet high and rising. 50 feet high and rising. Rosin. 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 Hit it. Thanks for tuning in. That was a good one. Very good meeting about cannabis. Smoke 'em if you got 'em, roll 'em if you don't. Put the cannabis down your throat.
Gonna explode. Step out the street, gonna lock and load. They said time away, gonna do him well, but I got back out. Now I'm mad as hell. Fake ass peers, always talking shit, talk punk. You're gonna get hit. Sick of the phony ass people. When I cut the 38 and I wrote the sequel. In my heart to the steel conquers all. Blast, 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 and I watch them all fall. Before just a word with no depth. When you jump out the window, you still break your neck. I chose the path. I've traveled before when I always come through the same two doors. The one I opened 100 times in the past. I chose number 2. Why I was not the last.
Talk about a bomb threat.
I ain't true yet. I'm rolling up my tracks. When you're gonna break, can't get nothing but. We're so bigger. We're super Tarantino type nigga. Talk about a bomb threat. I ain't true yet. I'm rolling up my tracks. When you're gonna break, can't get nothing but. We're so bigger. So hardcore now. How you gonna figure? Oh yeah. When I smoke up the Buddha, I got the groove on. Got a straight up trick on the food time, boot time. When I talk about stress, turn my back on the people who in distress. Cause your back's turned on me, so I say fuck it. Why ask no more? I'm gonna take my shit, cause right about now my power will turn your back on me, punk, and bam, I'm gonna drop ya. Talk about a bomb threat. I ain't true yet, I'm rolling up my tracks. Where you gonna break, can't get nothing but. We're so bigger, we're super Tarantino type nigga. Talk about a bomb threat. Can't get nothing but. We're so bigger, so hardcore now. How you gonna be it? Oh yeah, with the bomb threat, nothing but a bomb threat. One time for your mind with the bomb threat. It's a bomb threat. One time, bomb with the bomb threat. I ain't true, come on. One time for my mind. Ain't true yet with the bomb threat. Bring it down one time, come on now. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like a what? Like, time bomb. When I step out on the street, I'm gonna lock and load. They said time away, he's gonna do him well, but I got back out. Now I'm mad as hell. Fake ass peers, always talking shit. I talk punk. You're gonna get hit. Sick of the phony punk ass people. When I got the 38 and I wrote the sequel. Talk about a bomb threat. I ain't true yet. I'm rolling up my tracks. When you're gonna break, can't get nothing but. We're so bigger. We're super Tarantino type nigga. Talk about a bomb threat. I ain't true yet. I'm rolling up my tracks. When you're gonna break, can't get nothing but. We're so bigger. So hardcore now. How you gonna be a bomb threat? Come on, bomb threat. Nothing but a bomb threat. One time for your mind. 899 with the whoa. With the bomb threat. Bomb with the bomb threat. I ain't true yet. Me and JB. With the bomb threat. Don't wait. Bring it down. Come on now. Bring it down one time. Oh yeah. One time with the bomb threat. For your mind. 899 with the bomb threat. Don't break. Nothing but a bomb threat. It's a bomb threat. It's a bomb. Don't shake it. Bomb with the bomb threat. I ain't true yet. Come on. One time for my mind in the 99. Move with the bomb threat. Here we go. Bring it down. One time. Oh yeah. Bomb threat.
There's something fishy about this, and I want the lowdown. Now come clean. Where did I come from?
I can tell a guy you love to hate. Yeah, for me when you see me on the prom date. Ain't no word, the herb is the word. I feel the groove, don't be disturbed. Check you out when you're looking over here. You're sounding me up with the stone cold stare. Honey, sugar, won't you come back to my pad? I'm gonna hit you like a hammer. I'm gonna hit you like a hammer. you love to love. You wrap me up when I slide on the gloves and I soak it, poke it, spin me all around. I am the king, so I wear the crown. Come on, run on, can you feel the heat? Don't think my crew's so obsolete when I push it, pull out. Too much for your girl, I'm the I'm gonna hit you like a hammer. I'm gonna hit you like a hammer. Mash your brains up. I'll mash your head like a potato. Look at the little sucker, 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 now he's happy. I'm gonna hit you like a hammer.
Come on, here we go. Here we go, white rock, come on now. I'm gonna hit you like a hammer. I'm gonna hit you like a hammer. And I want the lowdown. There's something fishy about this, and I want the lowdown. Now come clean. Where did I come from? Something fishy about this, and I want the lowdown. There's something fishy about this, and I want the lowdown. Now come clean. Where did I
Wayne was in the van, stopped by the man, he was busted. Carol from Lodi was just getting high, she was busted. Ed from down south, he was running his mouth. The police came inside, they ransacked his house. All this because of a rat on the couch, he was busted. Anthony in Summit had tinted glass, he was busted. Busted! Dickie in Linden was being an ass, he was busted. Busted! David in Keyport, they took all his stash. They took all his bomb. They took all his stash. Mike on the back hat, his head being bashed. He was busted. Chris from Obsican, cop stuck her wheelchair. She was busted. Busted. She had a shit in a bucket, cause the cops didn't care. She was busted. Busted. Jessie was growing some weed in her home. They took time and money worked up in her phone. They took away Jeremy, now Joe is alone. They were busted.
Let's do this right. Wayne was in the van when he was stopped by the man. He was busted. Busted! Carol from Lodi was just getting high. She was busted. Busted! kid from down south. He was running his mouth. The police came inside. They ransacked his house. All this because of a rat on the couch. He was busted. Anthony in Summit had tinted glass. He was busted. Lefty in Linden was being an ass. He was busted. David in Keyport, they took all his stash. They took all his bones. They took all his stash. Mike on the bike had his head beat and bashed. He was busted. Chris from Absecon, cop took her wheelchair. She was busted. She had a shit in a bucket. Cause the cops didn't care. She was busted. Jessie was growing some weed in her home. They spent time and money wiretapping her phone. They took away Jeremy. Now Joanne's alone. Busted.
I'm Dick Black. You're doing a porno movie, right?
Right.
Then I'm the man for you.
Well, I'm glad to meet you, Mr. Black, but I'm afraid you're not exactly the type we're looking for.
You mean because I'm black?
No, he's just not the type.
I'm Dick Black. You're doing a porno movie, right?
Right.
Then I'm the man for you.
Well, I'm glad to meet you, Mr. Black, but I'm afraid you're not exactly the type we're looking for.
You mean because I'm black?
No, he's just not the type.
What do you mean, not the type? Man, don't you know who I am? I'm Big Dick Black. I've done more porno movies than you ever saw. I've worked with Harry Reams, Johnny Wise. Not the type. I can come 10 times a day. I can keep it hard for 2 hours at a time. I'm a woman's dream. I got a dick hung on me 9 inches long.
I'm sorry, Mr. Black. I'm sure you're very good, but at the moment, I just don't have anything for you. If something comes up, I'll be happy to give you a call.
Shit. You don't want hiring niggas, that's all. I knew this was a scam. This is bullshit.
I'm breaking up buds in the hot sun. Bong for the law and the bong one. Bong for the law and the bong one. I needed fecal cause I had none. The bong for the law and the bong one. The bong for the law and the bong one. Left my bong and it feels so bad. I guess my bowl's cashed. Bong Holio's the best bong for my hash. Bong for the law and the bong one. The bong for the law and the bong one.
Bong, 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 bong. Bong, 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 yeah, bong, bong.
Bongs in 6 lungs. Bong for the law and the bong one. Bong for the law and the bong one. I lost my bong and I lost my fun. Bong for the law and the bong one. The bong for the law and the bong one. That's right, the bong always wins. I left my bong and it feels so bad. I guess my bowl's cashed. Bong Holio's the best bong for my hash. Bong for the law and the bong one. Bong for the law and the bong one. think that's it. I think we're done.